Hi everyone, welcome to another webinar by Jackson Securities. My name's Jacob Pritchard. I'm here with me today is Tom Revy, Managing Director of Blackearth Minerals. Tom, thanks for coming along today.
Thanks very much, Jacob. All good.
Good to hear, good to hear. So for anyone that's on the webinar at the moment that I guess is a prospective investor, new to Blackearth Minerals, give us a little bit of an introduction about Blackearth. Guess a bit of a topic.
Okay, sure, Jacob. Look, we listed relatively recently, 2018. We had a very clear vision when we listed. That was to be a material player in the global graphite supply chain. So not just be a miner per se, but to be involved in as much of the supply chain as what we could, because for those who are aware, the prices of downstream processed material actually increases fairly significantly, and there's a huge attraction, and that's where we're going for in terms of reward to shareholders. We're true believers in the global graphite industry. We're very targeted. It's an industry that we think is going to get re-rated over the next sort of 12, 18 months especially, to be in line with a predicted shortfall in global graphite supply. We have two pillars of growth capable of delivering that vision. The first is our Maniry graphite project located in southern Madagascar. It's currently in DFS stage. The feasibility study should be completed in the second quarter of next year. And it's a meaningful project in terms of MPV, which is about 103 million US, or about 150 odd million Aussie, and an IRR of about 42%. We have recently announced some pretty specky intersections to the northwest, and that really has the opportunity to enhance those financials even more. The other pillar of growth that we have is the recently announced joint venture that we have with Metachem. That's to build an expandable graphite project in India, and that's got huge attractions for us by way of raw material short supply, for which our Maniry project has a very large supply in terms of proportion of product. The price goes from taking your coarse material from $1,000, $1,600 up to $3,000 for just a bit of an increase in operating costs. So it has huge attractions and little competition. And the way we've structured it, a 50-50 joint venture, certainly is very advantageous for shareholders and prospective investors. The board, look, we're all excited about what we've been able to accomplish today, but more importantly about what lies in front of us. The market cap of the company is about $26 million. We've got plenty of cash. Last report was $6 million or $6.5 million in their last quarterly. So there's no hurry to raise cash per se, because we have the cash to develop, particularly our expandable graphite project in India. So all that's covered. So it's an exciting time for us. And I guess in summary, the team's accomplished a lot in the first 3 years, and at a pace that our peers have taken probably 6 to 10 years. And we've done this both responsibly and thoroughly.
100%. No, it's been and you guys are only newly listed as well, and it's been quite a strong. You guys have been real fast out of the gates as well, much like you mentioned. So exciting times definitely ahead. Now, I guess over the last 12 months, Blackearth has, I guess when we just go and look at a share price sort of view, has actually achieved a pretty solid return if you look at a sort of calendar year. In terms of, I guess, not giving too much away moving forward, but people are pretty excited. What should some new investors be prepared for in the next 12 months?
As I said, I think from a Blackearth perspective, we represent a clear and attractive investment opportunity based on what we have in front of us. Key milestones that traditionally are highly leveraged into the share price of mine development companies are going to, in terms of news flow, it's going to be plentiful. We have a compelling case, I believe, to attract more investors to the stock. As I said, our market cap is in the vicinity of about $26 million. A snapshot of our peers, not just in Australia, but also in Canada and the UK, suggests that for like markets, when you finish your feasibility study on your project, for a graphite project, your market capitalisation is around about the 120 to 180 million Aussie dollars. With that in mind, as I said, we're about $26 million. So I think there's tremendous leverage there. And that, of course, excludes any valuation that we can put on top of that in regards to our expandable plant, which we should have in production within 12 months.
100%. No, that is looking pretty good for the next 12 months. How about for some of the people watching, some comments on, I know there's some talk about expendable graphite into Europe. What's some comments that you can address here about that?
Okay, so in terms of the expandable graphite project that we're looking to build, global production of expandable graphite is largely limited by global supply of quality and, most importantly, suitable coarse flake graphite. We've gone out and people can check through the ASX, our previous releases, that we have the right stuff in regards to that. And coarse flake graphite has been decreasing in global supply over the past few years, whilst demand is increasing. So we're in a really unique position to not only produce a reasonable amount of coarse flake, but to take that further, value add. And, we already have in place our binding offtake with Graphitberg Bau of Austria. So Europe is our primary market. Obviously, we'll be looking at other markets, but with the uplift in price, it's certainly attractive. The plan is to basically produce around about 2,000 to 2,500 tonne per annum of expandable graphite as stage one. Effectively, that's probably in the vicinity of about 6 to 7.5 million US dollars, or around 9 million Aussie dollars for stage one. And then we'll increase that basically to about 4,000 to 5,000 tonne per annum. And at that stage, we will be a material global supplier of expandable graphite, especially into the European market.
Definitely. No, that is definitely exciting. Now, let's talk a bit about cash flow. You've got an initial fast track cash flow strategy. What can you sort of comment on that?
Well, our mantra since day one, Jacob, has been fast track to cash flow, because we believe it's the best way to reward shareholders, particularly in a business that, according to market analysts, as I said before, should see a worldwide graphite supply deficit in the next 3 to 4 years. Ultimately, it's the least dilutionary approach to developing a company, and puts us onto the radar of further high net worth investors, institutional investors and the like, and that's a real positive for our current shareholders. So with that in mind, our plan is to get the expandable plant into cash flow within the next 12 months, and our Maniry graphite project into production by 2023. So, we're focused on cash flow, and as I said previously, we have the cash to pursue and develop the expandable graphite project in its own right. It's a very low capex entry. Our portion is going to be somewhere between $2 to $2.5 million max. So we're well positioned to take this company forward into cash flow next year.
Yeah, great launchpad, obviously, that we can expect. So yeah, positioned extremely well, as you commented. What can you comment on, I guess, first year projection of sales for people that are probably taking notes here? So.
Okay, so as I said, the joint venture plans to produce that 2,500 tonne a year, which at current $3,000 a tonne US equates to about 6 to 7.5 million US dollars. So that's where we're aiming for. Obviously, as we expand the plant, we'll be doubling that, and then and we'll be expanding, pardon the pun, the expandable plant probably through the operating cash flow per se again. So again, non-dilutionary is the key focus here. But certainly what it does when we enter into that realm of first sales, particularly in the first year, is it badges Blackearth as a producer in the graphite space. It improves our brand, it improves our reputation, and of course what it means is we'll be able to turn around when we're looking at financing the Maniry project, which we're on record as saying is about 40 million in capex, and we'll be able to talk to project financiers and discuss with them the very fact that we are a partial off-taker to our own project. So that's going to be a positive as well.
100%. And obviously on the topic of that Madagascar project that you just mentioned as well, is there anything in particular you're really excited about? Obviously for the company, it just seems like a really good project, to be fair.
Yeah, no, look, we're wrapped with the whole project. As I said earlier, the DFS is projected to be completed in the second quarter of next year. After completion of the DFS, we'll obviously commence front-end engineering design, so the heavy engineering will be starting, and we'll be moving into the ordering of long lead items. The plan is to build the project on a modular basis, potentially out of South Africa, which is nearby and has the skills and also has the construction knowledge of operating in Madagascar. Project finance activities will commence probably early next year. We've given ourselves a 6-month window to close that off, so it should be completed by the first half of next year. We obviously also need to submit documents in regards to the final environmental permit, and that'll be done on completion of the feasibility study. As part of the application for that permit is your feasibility as such. It's really a traditional approach to development, and doesn't really differ to the development of any other project in most countries. So it's a traditional development set of phases to ultimately get us into cash flow in 2023 on that project.
Definitely. Something that I guess a lot of people have been whispering about, and obviously a main topic for you guys as well, is definitely this joint venture agreement that you guys have got going on. So with Metachem, what's something that I guess that you guys feel really excited about that, and I guess what should shareholders know as well?
Well, yes, we wanted to take advantage of the fact that we had a large proportion of coarse flake, and the easiest, cheapest and simplest way to do that was to produce expandable graphite. We've had a lot of interest in that product globally, one of which was Metachem. We spoke to Metachem at length and said, well, why don't we work together to develop a brand new facility? They've been producing around about 1,000 tonne a year from their own Indian operation for about 25 years. So they have the operating know-how, and again, that helps Blackearth decrease the risk in terms of developing this project itself. So what we've done is we've finalised a 50-50 joint venture. The capex is a total of about $3.5 million US. That includes owner's costs and spare parts and first fills and even some inventory to safeguard against any supply issues. They know the business. What attracted them to us, for example, was the fact that we are a potential source of large amounts of coarse flake, which is currently a bit of a consumer's nightmare. So that puts them in a good position for the joint venture plant. And also our international networks. One of our board members, David Round, he's been in the graphite industry quite a few years, and he has really good contacts in the sales area in regards to Europe, India, China, Southeast Asia and US. So we're well positioned to add value to value, and it sounds a bit cliche, but it is very much a case of 1 + 1 = 3 in this particular case.
Wow. Yeah. No, well said. Well said. I guess moving on to some questions that I guess I would like to know, I'm sure shareholders would like to know a little bit more intricate about the business. Last 12 months has been full of surprises for all businesses domestically. But do you have anything in particular, I guess, Blackearth, that you feel most accomplished about over the last 12 months?
Yeah, it has been. It's been a really hectic but enjoyable ride for all concerned. The share price is up over about 160%, so there's a key positive straight away. Following the successful completion of the large-scale pilot works, the Maniry DFS continues, I think, to reflect a very attractive project with upside recently identified through the high-grade graphite results we reported in the Recipe Northwest area, and of course with that comes a new resource before the end of the calendar year on that particular one. The Indian joint venture, which we just mentioned, with binding offtake with Graphite Bergbau. Graphite Bergbau is one of the oldest and largest buyers of expandable graphite in Europe, so that's a really solid relationship. The strong interest we've had and continue to have on Maniry product, Maniry Graphite concentrate product, and that reaffirms our strong belief as a board in the project, and that interest comes from the likes of Urbix, Lux Carbon, Metachem, and obviously others who we continue to have a dialogue with. And finally, by no means least, is our social commitments and activities in Madagascar itself. It's a country experiencing significant famine conditions, particularly in the south where we operate. Our in-country team's been providing food parcels. They recently upgraded a critical water pump in the area. And of course, our continued medical support with Australian Doctors for Africa. We provide them logistics support, financial support, office capabilities within our office, etc. Not to mention the ongoing employment and training of the Maniry locals. Because I'm particularly proud of that particular work that we've done over the last 12 months.
Yeah, most definitely, and top it off with a good share price appreciation as well is always nice as a bit of a reward for hard
Absolutely.
work. Something that we've seen, obviously, as a financial firm as well, is there's been a huge increase in popularity for the mining sector, which is great for you guys, and a new bunch of new investors coming into the market. Obviously, it's almost a case that it's hard to quantify, but you want to secure as many new investors as possible. I guess for some of the people watching, what's some good points about the business that they should be looking towards you guys?
I guess when you look, it's a business, okay? So even if people don't understand the potential for what will happen as a function of the deficit in graphite supply globally over the next 3-4 years, if you park that aside, just look at it as a business. I mentioned earlier, based on peer comparisons, our market capitalisation should be around the 150 million mark, plus or minus, within the next sort of 8 months or so once we finish that feasibility study. That gives huge leverage in terms of investors who are currently looking at our price. That goes hand in hand with Argonaut Capital, who put out a research piece on us not that long ago and showed that just on our Maniry project alone, without referencing the high-grade intersections we achieved recently, they were looking at us at about a 27-cent fair valuation. And when you look at us at 12 to 13 cents, that's an attractive proposition as we stand at the moment. So we have those sorts of things. Investors should be looking at the team, as they should at any investment opportunity. We have a top quality team which we've reinforced by our recent announcement of Heather Zambatti. She's a great addition to the team. Great understanding of equity markets, but also a well-known businesswoman and an advisor. She's known all around Australia and adds even more credibility to the board, the management, the company. Madagascar is a place that, if you look at geopolitics, which is obviously an important component to any project, Madagascar is a place that's been producing and exporting graphite for over 100 years. It's regarded as a tier 1 location for buyers to be sourcing their materials from. The product, as I said, is in high demand and only looks like it's going to be increasing. So there's a whole raft of reasons why investors should be looking at us. Whether it's an interesting graphite or a business proposition, the costs that we've put out historically, which we'll reaffirm through our feasibility study, the upside that we have in terms of the recent high-grade material to the northwest, it's all plus, plus, plus. And for people who follow us, they'll know we're never short of news flow. So there's lots of news flow. And, over the next 12 months, because we don't just have one project, but we have 2 projects in development, we're going to be reaching some amazing, I think, pivotal milestones moving forward, each of which can have a significant trigger, or should have a significant trigger on terms of the share price as we get closer and closer to cash flow to both projects.
Definitely. That sort of touched on my final question as well, I think quite well. As a bit of a summary for new investors coming in, obviously having a look at this, you've got a company here, Blackearth, that has definitely done a lot of learning since listed. Had great share price appreciation over the last 12 months, formed some really good relationships, got plenty of cash and plenty of room to grow as well. So how I see it, there's never an over-informed shareholder. So hearing that you've got plenty of news flow, and obviously people that have already invested in Blackearth have seen plenty of news flow, that's something that they really appreciate. So I know we're really looking forward to the next 12 months as well to see what comes out of it. So look, obviously in summary, I want to say thank you to yourself, Tom, and Blackearth for coming along. Investors watching, people, if you do have any questions, feel free to refer to the ASX website. Obviously, they're well inundated with information that they're coming out with. If you do have any questions that you would like us to pass on, feel free to reach out to inquiries at Port Jackson. Happy to bundle up a ton of questions and pass them on to Tom to obviously answer for you. And look, obviously, we'll be seeing you at the next webinar. But thanks, everyone, for attending. Thank you as well, Tom. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Jacob.
No problem.